I move that we do not issue a certificate of appropriateness or a notice to proceed, that the um, owner developer should come back to us with drawings and that correctly and properly show the extent of what they're planning.
So, as you just heard, my application for scope of work proposal to the Baltimore County Landmark Preservation Committee, Historic Review, whatever the bureaucracy wants to call them, was denied. Recommendation is not to issue a certificate of appropriateness or notice to proceed as proposed. So why was that? So basically, anything that I want to do on the outside of the house, which has to be approved by the county, is not being approved. So everything that I've requested to replace the siding, replace the windows, demolish the right side addition, replace the deck. All of that stuff has been denied. I cannot do anything with that stuff. It does not affect the interior work. However, the designs that I have for the interior work work in conjunction with the exterior work, such as moving windows, replacing doors. All of these things are one project that work together. And if you can't do one, then it makes it really difficult to do the other. So why did they deny it? Well, first, let me say that I followed the instructions to do this to the best of my abilities. And when I asked the committee for help, they basically replied and said, just follow the instructions. It's easy. And I said, well, yeah, but it's a lot. I really want to make sure I get it right. They replied back and said, just follow the instructions. It's easy. Now, I will admit they did give me an option to call, but at that point, I had a very short fuse. I let it sit for a day, and then I just worked on it and took their word that it was easy and didn't call, and I probably should have. Because what it ended up being was, so I followed the instructions. You fill out an application, and this is an example application. You put in your item number. For example, I'm going to replace the windows. You tell them what the current condition of the windows are, where the windows are, how many windows there are, etc. And then what you're going to do. You're going to remove the windows and replace them. So I did that. I did that for all of the items that I'm going to be working on. Then it tells you that, put all your photographs into a folder, then list them on a Word document in a specific format, which you can see down here. I did that. Did all of this. And then it said for site plans. Well, you don't have to get professional site plans. You can hand draw the site plans as long as you use straight lines, and they don't have to be accurate. They don't have to be to scale. So as long as you write not to scale on it, you're good. And then you have to tell it which way is north, which way is south, and all this. So I did all that. I listed all of my photos. Here's the photo of the front of the house, side of the house, rear of the house, every window. Gave the windows numbers, did all of that. Put all my windows in a file. Gave them my renderings, my site plan drawings, which you can see here. Not to scale, drawing not to scale, northerly elevation. These are the elevation drawings. I'm going to replace this door. I'm going to replace this window. I'm going to replace this window. I'm going to replace this roof. I'm going to replace this vinyl siding. Put all of that in there. This is the site plan. North is that way. Here's where the house sits, the driveway, the deck. This is what it's all going to look like proposed when it's done as far as the site plan is concerned. So I did all that, not to scale. So that's exactly what they asked for. And they kicked it back, basically saying, your job is so big. See if I can find the one that they kicked back. Not going to issue appropriate. Now, I gave you part of the video, but that video was, we had a long discussion, and I went over these things with them, and not only did they touch on some other stuff that apparently I didn't do properly or that I was asking incorrectly. The gist of the reason why was because I didn't provide enough information. Even though I provided the information that they requested, I didn't provide enough. Even though the application instructions said that you don't have to get professional drawings, they said I have to get professional drawings, that I have to be more detailed as to what I was doing. So I redid everything. And not only did I redo everything, I actually redid everything twice, because after I redid everything and they had given me an example of kind of how they wanted things to be, and basically, let me see if I can find it, hold on. So they gave me an example of a past project that they approved, and this is the example of the drawings that the guy used. And as you can see, they're pretty much hand drawn, a little bit better than hand drawn. They might have used some sort of CAD program, but certainly better, not any better than the ones I had submitted. And this was the guy's presentation that they approved. And basically, with the exception of how he laid it out, it was the same thing that I did. Pictures with what the pictures are and what the scope of work is going to be. So I redid everything and tried to present it in a way that they were asking for, which was I put it all on a PowerPoint and sent it to them. And that PowerPoint was quite long and broken up to make it seem, make it very easy to follow and understand. And they came back and said that I had it broken up too much, that I needed to shrink it down into basically 9 separate items rather than, I think I had 22 or 23 separate items. So I redid it a second time and submitted the proposal on a PowerPoint presentation with some as much detail as I can get. I added a bunch of photos. I think my final submission was about 100 and some odd photos. And then, of course, they were asking for better drawings, which it just so happened that we were getting drawings, but they weren't completed yet. And the engineer actually completed them. I believe it was the next day or the day after we had the hearing. So redid everything, included my attachments, which were photos, a photo worksheet, which that was another thing that they didn't like, was I just had a Word document that listed what the photos were. They said, well, it's hard to go back and forth between the photos and the document. Say, this was my document, says this is photo number 1. And then we had all the photos numbered. Photo number 1, well, this is what photo number 1 what is. They didn't like that. So I had to go back and put the photos in a different document so that they could see on the same document photo number 1. This is what photo number 1 is. Photo number 1 is the existing easterly elevation of the house. Photo number 2. And then, you can only have 2 photos on a page. So I had to make sure that that was right. I had to resize all the photos. So point being, made the presentation in PowerPoint, identified everything the way they wanted, all the materials the way they wanted, and included professional site plans and drawings, which you're seeing here. This was all done by a professional with professional measurements. This is the way the house looks. This is the way the house is proposed to look. There were a few errors that were getting corrected, but I didn't have time to correct it before I submit it. So everything in this red is what we're deleting or touching, and then we numbered all the windows so that the committee understands what we're talking about in the presentation. And we go this coming Thursday. I'm going to have my contractor join on the call with me in case there's any questions about structural integrity and all the things that are required there. But the big question is going to be, are they going to let us use the materials that we want to use? Because we want to use vinyl siding. They're saying, at the last meeting, they're saying, no, you can't use vinyl siding because the house has aluminum siding on it. So you got to use aluminum. Well, aluminum is hard to come by these days. Insurance companies won't insure it. or they won't replace it if it's damaged. They'll only replace it with vinyl siding. And the only other alternative is hardy board, which is probably about 3 times as expensive as vinyl siding. So I'm really hoping that they give some leeway there, because there is aluminum side, or excuse me, vinyl siding on part of the house. Yeah, so part of the house, let me get back to it. The front of the house is vinyl siding, the green siding is aluminum, and the white siding is vinyl. So it's, it's different stuff, and we want to make it all the same. So wish me luck. Hopefully, we'll get it all together and get approved this week. Thanks.